I just kind of sit down and turn the mic on and just kind of go. That's sort of what I...
All right.
It's like for me, it's like I'm the Incredible Hulk. That's my secret is that I'm always depressed.
I meant it more as a hypothetical and also like I'm about to find out. So
yeah, sure.
Maybe I can channel some Incredible Hulk myself.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? It's the Roadshow, episode 94.
You won't,
I think I said
you won't like
one.
it when I'm depressed.
Exactly. I think I said that on the last one, which was might have been last year at this rate. Do apologize. We said we were going to do an episode right before Halloween. We were going to sneak it in there, and that didn't happen. And
now it's the holidays.
Then we didn't get one out in November. But there was some illness going around that's still going around. Then it was Thanksgiving. And then my computer, I got home from Thanksgiving. My computer was just like, oh, hey, you have a drive in here. It's about to fail. Just want to give you a heads up on that. And so that was fun. I had to, work to remedy that situation.
Well, it's nice to get a heads up about it. It didn't just fail, it gave you notice.
True. That is true. And I was like, oh, this kind of seems fine. Because then I started doing like diagnostic tests, and all the diagnostic tests were coming back like, yeah, no, this drive's okay. But then my computer was like running like shit. And so I'm like, well, this doesn't seem right. Something seems amiss. And so I had to swap it out. And luckily it was only my documents drive where I keep all of the podcast stuff and all the other things that I do.
Who needs that?
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm paranoid, so I have 8 million backups, so I wouldn't have actually lost anything, but it was just a pain to redo that sort of thing, especially whenever that's also where I keep all the microphone settings and all that shit that I had to like repoint everything to. It's like, well, I don't know where this stuff is. It's like, yeah, you do. It's right here. It's in the same thing. I renamed all these folders exactly the way they're supposed to be. It's like, nope, that's a whole different thing. It's like, no, it's not. It's the same freaking thing. But anyway, that's just computers. But yeah, so we got some fun stuff for you. Trying to get back on track. You may or may not have noticed, but the old website is gone. That was another hurdle I had to climb across. So we have a new website with a new URL. So now everything is on deadendroad.media. If you go to the old URL, it should redirect you automatically. Fingers crossed. When I tested, it works. So hopefully it continues to work, because that was another pain in the ass. But on the podcast side, it should have just transferred over and nothing should have changed, especially in podcast players and everything like that. It should have just happened, because that was like the first thing that got working. But yeah, there's a new website. It looks a lot better. It runs a lot better. So if you want to check that out, deadendroad.media, which I think fits a lot better. I actually tried to buy that back in 2016 whenever I was starting up the whole whatever the hell this is. And it was going to be like way too expensive, but I guess the price is better now, so it wasn't that bad. So now I have it. And so that's what I did. Because the old website host was basically screwing me, and I wouldn't be able to upload the podcast to the website anymore because they were like, oh yeah, you don't get unlimited storage anymore. And I was like, well, that's crazy because I just paid for that back in September. And they're like, nope. And so I had to fight with them over that.
And that's especially bad timing when you have a failing hard drive.
Yeah, this is kind of all happening at once. And also holiday time. So it's been a time for a lot of people, but so new site. And also it's a lot easier for us to do things like newsletters now and additional bonus content if anybody's interested in that. So you can go to the website and you can sign up for the mailing list. And I hate spam. I'm not going to spam you with that kind of shit. But whenever there is a new long form feature that I write, you'll get that. You'll get new episode releases, emails, and little breakdowns and stuff like that. just right into the email. So it's a lot smoother. It's a lot easier. And yeah, it's a much better system, but it just took a lot of work to get everything over, while also not knowing if I could get everything off of the old site before they were just like, screw you, and decided to nuke it, which was a genuine possibility. So yes. But if anything is not working, and I don't necessarily know how you would be listening to this if something wasn't working, but like on your specific podcast player of choice, please let me know so I could try to straighten that out, because we are on a new podcast hosting platform as well. So if one of those like little pathways to, your specific app is not working, I would like to know that so you can continue to listen. So yeah, please give me a heads up. And also, so there's also a new email for the show as well. Mostly because like the old email, which you could still use, but it was like from 8 iterations of the show ago where we were going to do like a ton of video content. And that just didn't happen. And then we changed format like a bunch of times. So if you use it, it'll still get to me. But so the new email is podcast@denounced.media, and I'll put that up with, where we have all the links and stuff like that.
So many changes.
It's still the same bullshit. I just felt like, hey, you know what? I'd already have 8 million email address. Why don't I just add another one to my whole inbox? But yeah, so if you need to send us anything, podcast@denounced.media makes a lot more sense than the old address we were using. Yeah, I think that's the big podcast updates that I wanted to convey. So let's get into some stuff here. I usually say fun stuff, but this first one I just realized is incredibly. Want to talk about depression? This is very depressing. I don't know why I put this at the beginning of the show, but yeah, I've wanted to talk about this for a while, and now as haven't had a show, that has been prolonged. But let's do Mountains of Madness. Mountains of Madness. Now, so this happened back in, I guess it was like the middle of October, right?
Oh, was it that long ago?
I think so, yeah. And this probably didn't reach. Well, I don't know. It was on like Good Morning America, so I don't even know the reach of anything anymore. But a former player of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Adam Johnson, who was playing in a professional league in the UK, passed away after an on-ice accident. And that on its own, like, would not need us to talk about it, other than maybe just saying how tragic it is, because, he was a young guy, and, lost his life, like, playing a sport, which is something that shouldn't happen and really doesn't happen very often. But what I want to talk about is the weird situation surrounding the unfortunate existence of the footage of what happened to him, and just sort of I don't necessarily want to say fallout from it, but like the surrounding, I don't know, bizarre situation about it that followed just this awful event. Because it maybe it's just because I made the stupid decision to watch the footage, and it stuck with me and will probably continue to stick with me. But there's just some weird shit involved in it. And so I guess content warning I put here violent death, but I don't really know what else to say about it. So just gonna say that up top. So the footage of it is online. I would highly, highly, highly recommend nobody goes to watch it.
Yeah, you steered me away from it, which I appreciate. I have not seen it, nor do I intend to.
Yes, because it is probably one of the worst things I've seen. And I've seen some shit. What happened to him is that a player collided with another player, and the one player's skate came up and sliced him in the neck. And the clip that got circulated, which is the same clip, and it was clear that it had been reshared and reshared and reshared because the resolution gets worse and worse and worse. Each version of it you see, basically. He seems to make it off the ice, right? Just leaving an incredible just pool of blood on the ice. And there should never be that amount of blood on the ice. It's always a surreal thing, like whenever somebody gets high sticked or something, and there's just like a drop, like drops or a trail of blood, like as they go to the bench or the locker room. And then they always show it on TV, and I don't know why they do. They always show either the ref or the ice crew scraping up the now frozen blood.
Oh yeah, they zoom in on that and they really highlight it. It's just like in the NFL, when someone gets badly injured, they show you the replay over and over and over again.
Lately, they like whenever it's like leg stuff in the NFL, they've actually not been doing that. They've been saying like we like the injury was too gruesome and we don't want to show you. I've noticed, because that happened in a Steelers game earlier this year where the running back's leg like snapped in half, basically. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to show you the replay. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That's a nice change of
like
pace.
You said. Yeah. But yeah, for hockey, like somebody gets high sticked and, you know, their nose is bloodied up or whatever, and it gets everywhere on their shirt and on the ice. They always show the ice crew scraping up the frozen blood. And this was just a like immediate pool everywhere as this guy is grabbing his neck with an ice, like a hockey glove, and desperately trying to get off the ice. Like I said to you in a text, I was like, yeah, it was like something out of a really shitty slasher movie that you would see, like one of those like awful, like themed slasher movies, you know, just horrific. And what was weird to me, not only the fact that like, you know, platforms were just sort of like letting the clip circulate or whatever of a guy dying violently, because I saw it both on YouTube and I saw it on TikTok.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was on both. I don't know if it still is because I didn't want to go look for it again.
I consider myself lucky then, because I'm interested in hockey. I view hockey content on various platforms. I'm fortunate that this did not, I didn't inadvertently come across this.
This was why I wanted to say something to you.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, this is out there and you should do anything you can to not see.
Yeah.
So not only was it weird that the clip was like still up and being able to be spread around and getting, like I said, progressively like lower quality as it's just being like, you know, screen shared and re-uploaded and just getting lower resolution each time. It was also being like seemingly like auto-generated. And what I mean by that is over the top of the footage would be text-to-speech voice narration.
Oh, boy.
Over the top of it it was the same every time, but it wasn't always the same text-to-speech voice. Over the top of it, saying in like broken sentences. I don't like not even broken English, just like broken sentences, like the syntax of it, explaining kind of like not even like completely correctly who he was and what had happened to him in the clip. It's like so surreal to hear like a robotic voice like say like prayers up for this guy that died as you're watching him get like his neck get slit.
The internet is broken, isn't it?
Yeah. And so these weren't even like because I even though I don't use the platform a lot, I know like the TikTok lady voice, like I know those voices. Sure. These were like the cheapo robo text to speech voices. Right.
This is not someone altering their own voice and speaking on top of video. It is just like you said, there's not even a real person behind it.
Yeah. It's like they're being auto generated and like just re-uploaded by lots of other people too, because there was a ton of them and it was all the same clip and it might have had different auto generated, but it was all like the same sentence, like the same words, just the strangest shit. And I didn't mean it to tie it into this, but just this week, I started getting recommended very low view videos on YouTube of channels claiming that they were news VTubers. And I was like, okay, that's a weird niche to try to become. But like, okay, if somebody's trying to do that, I clicked on one of them.
That's where you made your first mistake.
Well, of course. But, at this point, it's like, fuck it. And what it literally is just like a stock, like anime girl and a cheap robotic voice, text to speech, just reading out Bloomberg articles. But like, it's clearly just reading out the webpage, like not even just the articles, because it's reading like Bloomberg.com and like all the like headings and like the mastheads of like the website. Mm-hmm. And then also like the ancillary text, like around advertisements and all that shit too. Like it's not just reading the article text, and it's just like reading it, like not even paying attention to punctuation either. And like it starts like in the middle of sentences. Like it doesn't just like start, like there's not even like an intro put up. It's the strangest shit, but it's just like using those keywords, I guess, to try to get views of like, oh, this is VTuber and news, right? And so then it's like trying to do that and just like filling it out with, I struggle to even use the word content, but it's, just like weird shit. And so a similar thing was used for this guy that violently died in a hockey game. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck is any of this?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, is there any monetization to be gained out of this?
So I think it is like the shotgun approach, right? Of like, well, these videos are going to get taken down, but there are people that want to see that footage, mm-hmm. right? And I assume, and this is me being very charitable to the platforms, that they would take down that clip, but maybe they couldn't take all of them down at the same time.
Right.
Right. So you make 50 bot accounts that would just spam the same video or whatever, however many, whatever X number, whatever you want to put in order for it to stay up and gain views. I don't know. Like YouTube, it's harder to crack into the monetization. I don't know about TikTok. I don't know what their criteria is for you to get like your first paycheck. But yeah, I don't know. Just surreal shit. And then just I don't really want to get into this because it's all just so grody on its own. And I had to become aware of this through proxy, I guess, because I found out about this through like hockey memes rather than seeing it firsthand, which is a little odd, but it's only because I am no longer on Twitter. So the absolute worst of the worst people on Twitter, basically right-wing grifters, got word of this, what happened to Adam Johnson, and attempted to turn it into a racial culture war thing.
Of course they did.
Because the player that happened, whose skate happened to collide with his neck in this freak accident, happened to be black. And so this is some kind of and how there's like no repercussions for him, and how he's not going to be charged criminally for killing a guy, and how this says something about society or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? It's insane. First of all, based off of the grainy pixelated footage, I don't even see how you can tell the race of anybody in the videos, let alone singling out one guy. The videos were that low quality. Because first of all, I don't even know how the original footage would have started out, because this is footage of a professional game in the UK. I don't even know like if this was even cell phone footage or broadcast footage genuinely. Mm-hmm. Then you have so many layers further removed of all the copies that would wind up, I guess, on Twitter. Then to single out and even see that guy's race. I had no idea that guy was black. It has nothing to do with it. I'm too busy looking at a guy dying.
Well, you know what that shows, though? It shows the motivation by the conspiracy theorists, because they will take a story and morph it to their own, to fit their own agenda. And so what they probably did was they probably researched who the player was with the intent of finding a way to frame a story.
Of course.
So,
of course.
Yeah.
And it's so like when you see it, which again, don't see it. Don't see it. But if you did see it, it's kind of easy for your first thought to be, why the hell did that guy do that? Your skate should never go up that high. Mm-hmm. But it's sort of the thing where when your body collides, he kind of got hip checked a little bit. Like he was going in to hit somebody else, but he was going to hit their back, and their hip sort of collided with his midsection. And so his skates, he sort of went sideways. And this is me from memory, right? This is not me, and so his skates kind of went sideways, and I guess it was his left skate, went up. It was such a freak thing. If you see it the first time and it's in slow motion, you're like, it looks like he kicked him. Mm-hmm. It looks like he kicked him the first time you see it, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I saw some conversation around like more hockey oriented stuff being like, well, yeah, he was sort of a known player that like played on the edge a little bit and would take like some charging penalties, stuff like that.
That's completely different from whatever from what this is.
It's completely different. Nobody would ever try to roundhouse kick somebody with a skate, like that just doesn't happen. And then you see immediately as Adam Johnson is trying to make his way off the ice, the guy that hit him with his skate, like already has his head in his hands. Like, oh Jesus, what the fuck happened?
Of course.
Because there's so much fucking blood.
Yeah. He's in shock.
Yeah. He's like, what the fuck happened? Because as soon as he gets hit, everybody on the ice stops. They stop and they're signaling immediately for the medical help. Mm-hmm. Immediately. They know that it's something's wrong. Immediately play stops. Like you've never seen play stop this fast. It doesn't even stop for like goalie masks coming off.
Yeah, that aspect of it I didn't know.
Yeah. Play immediately stops. So it's just like you're really going to use somebody's death for the most insane off the wall bullshit culture war shit.
Yeah, so far what we're covering here is using this player's death for monetization purposes with just like, I don't even know what you call it, just AI generated garbage on the internet.
Yeah.
And then the even more malicious purpose of overt racism. I mean,
that's what it was.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Mm-hmm. The internet is broken.
It's fucking rough. It's so fucking rough. Yeah. And meanwhile, you just have this young guy just dead because he was doing what he loved. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he last played for the Penguins whenever they were in the bubble year, if I'm remembering correctly. He was a solid role player. He played in Wilkes-Barre too. The Penguins, after he passed their next game, they played like a video montage of his time, like because he scored a few goals for them. And instead of like doing like a moment of silence, they asked for actually like a standing ovation instead to celebrate his life rather than just like having it be this dour moment.
Sure.
Of, which I thought was a better way to approach it. But yeah, it's like I said, just one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Because the way you're taught and like you're taught to keep your skates low, because they're incredibly dangerous, especially professionally whenever they're getting them resharpened, like between every period, like, and so, in this wasn't the case when I played, but, in youth leagues now, like they mandate, neck protection and it's basically cut proof, padded cloth that you wear around the neck. Because kids, kids have a much harder time controlling their body, right, than professional athletes. So if something were to come up, they'd be protected. And that's not the case with professionals. And so the Penguins are saying that through their minor league and down, so like in the AHL, the American Hockey League, and then anything lower that's in their system, I think starting in January, every player is mandated to have neck protection.
Excellent. I mean, it's a shame, it's a shame that it took this for it to happen. It's like the signs you see on the road that like signal a like high pedestrian area or something. And that the reason that sign was put there is because something tragic happened.
Right.
But it's necessary because this, as much of a freak thing as it is, it did happen, and there's nothing to say it couldn't happen again. And also, it's not just the skill. Like the neck is such a vulnerable area, and you have pucks flying at, players' faces and things like that. I mean, there's a variety of things that can happen on the ice. And I mean, in your opinion, would a neck protector really impede the player's ability to perform very much? I mean, I don't think it would, but I've never played the sport.
No. So I've like I said, I played before that was like a thing. That's how fucking old I am at this point. But yeah, no, it really wouldn't. But like professional players are so stubborn and set in their ways. Like it wasn't until 2005 that visors were mandated and they were still grandfathered in. So if you were like had so many years of playing time, you didn't have to wear one. And I think that was until the 2013 lockout that was like, okay, yeah, nobody's grandfathered in anymore. Everybody's got to wear a visor. So they're very slow about that kind of thing. And so in the NHL, there is currently no rule mandating neck guards. Nobody is prevented from wearing them. And so now there's a few Penguins that tried them out and a few have stuck with it. So Jeff Carter now wears one. Ryan Graves wears one. I think Carlson tried one at practice, but he's not wearing one in games. And so it's a thing that's got to be like the NHL and the Players Association have to get together in order to like make it a rule. It's to mandate it.
It's a very good thing then that at least this organization is starting with the minor leagues and the younger players, because if you get used to it early on in your career, you're much more likely to embrace it throughout. And so
and that's the thing. Like they wore it in youth leagues, and I don't know when that necessarily stops. I think you might have to wear it in college hockey. I'm not sure. But yeah, like you were already kind of wearing it and then you just sort of stop for pros. Same with visors and stuff. Like in youth hockey, you wear a full cage and then you stop. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, it's, I just couldn't believe like that. It just couldn't be like, oh, let's just mourn this tragic event that happened to this guy. And then that would be it. But no, there had to be this strangeness about it.
Of course.
Like nothing can just be.
No. No, it really can't.
But anyway, I might cut this, but I just saw this like an hour ago before we started recording. But it's a hockey thing. I don't know if you saw this at all. This was from yesterday. Andrei Vasilevsky was giving post-game interview. I think he had a shutout against Dallas. And it was a different kind of interview, I guess. And I have the clip here.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this.
Okay.
What's gone through your mind in the last 48 hours from the end of the game on Saturday to the start of this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't great feeling last game, but what was the question? My turn. Yeah, so just sorry. I mean, I was just.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent because it's very funny, but also I think we've talked about on the show before how useless sports press conferences and sports beat writers and their questions that they have to ask and the automatically generated responses that the players have to give back. Like it's all just such a big old waste of time and does not give you any insight whatsoever. And there's not necessarily even anyone to blame for it because the journalists are just doing their job. The players are also doing what they're contractually obligated to do.
Yeah.
It's just a whole lot of nothing. So I'd almost rather have that.
Did you see the Belichick stuff from this weekend?
No, I'd be curious though, because I know that they have done something historic in that they're the first team in almost 100 years to have 3 games in a row where they've allowed 10 or fewer points, and they've lost all 3 of those games.
Yeah. What's going to be really sad is that I think they'll win on Thursday against the Steelers, but just shut it all down when the Steelers lose that game. Just fucking. But yeah, so he had his press conference. I think they got beat 6-0 against the Chargers.
That's right.
Yeah. And so he's doing his press conference and he's just giving the worst answers I've ever seen. And he keeps saying that he answered the question whenever he didn't. So there's a transcript here. Did you consider putting Malik Cunningham in at quarterback, or Cunningham, I'm sorry, in at quarterback at any point? We did what we thought was best. How do you explain what's continuously gone wrong for the offense? Yeah, I just tried to do that. Sorry if that wasn't good enough. What went into the decision to start Bailey Zappi over Mac Jones? I thought he deserved it. Was it something Zappi did, or has Mac not delivered on what you were hoping to get out of him? I think he deserved it. Do you feel as though organizationally you've let Mac down a little bit? 3rd-year, first-round quarterback, now on the bench? Yeah, just trying to put the best team we can out there every week. What do you see from Thaquan Thornton, and what more do you want to see from him? I want to see all of our skill players be more productive when they get the opportunity to do that, so it's obvious.
Also, you could totally be making up these player names.
Sure, yeah, I know. How surprised are you at the lack of production from the offense? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? How do you identify as some of the missteps that have contributed to the offense not producing this season? Yeah, I just answered that question, Mike. Yeah, let's not do a season review. We're talking about the game. The game is just over. I'm happy to talk about the game. I made my comments on it. I'm not going to get into my full season review if that's what you're asking. No. It's the question. It's just hard to fathom how the offense has dipped this year, and this is the way we communicate with you, to the fans who are curious of the same question. Yeah, I just told you what I thought about the game. We moved the ball, didn't make enough plays to score, got into scoring range, and weren't able to convert those into points. With the offense struggling, was there a thought to putting Mac Jones into the game? Yeah, we did what we thought was best in the game. How do you keep players motivated when the defense is putting forth such strong performances and the game's ending in losses? Yeah, I think I just answered that question. Come to work every day, do the best we can, try to get better. That's what we're going to do. And I think at that point, he just walks off.
How do you feel about this approach? I mean, this is, Belichick's always going to be Belichick, but what do you think about this?
I just think it's like, literally, I really think that the press should be harder on him.
Okay.
For starters. Because it's like, they need to do a job. They need some kind of quote. He's giving them absolutely nothing. Like, they still treat him with kid gloves, It's like, oh, this is just the thing he does. But it's like, that's nothing.
Is he obligated to say more, though?
I think he's just like, well, first of all, I think he's obligated to give some kind of answer.
Okay. Which he definitely didn't do. Yeah, he definitely didn't.
It's like, come on. And then to say I answered the question and the answer is I don't know. Come on. Like, that's ridiculous. He could be his aloof whatever, still keep up his bullshit personality.
I guess this kind of works when you're winning, but then when you're 2-10,
right,
it's a bit of a different energy to it.
Right.
I'm so entertained.
Sure.
Because like for me, like I was saying, I think the whole song and dance of the media conferences are so pointless. And whether it's Belichick, whether it's anybody else, I just never got any value out of them. So I kind of am just amused by Belichick's approach to it.
Well, yeah, but there's Belichick, and then there's, what was it? Was it Richard Sherman, or was it who on the Seahawks was it?
Maybe Marshawn Lynch.
Maybe, yeah, might have been Marshawn Lynch, where he's just like, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, there you go.
Like that's way better.
It is. It's more tongue in cheek.
Yeah, it's like I have to be here, you have to be here.
Right. Right.
Like, that's just acknowledging it. Maybe it's breaking. I don't know if it's breaking the fourth wall or whatever, but like it's breaking the pretense of this charade that we both have to go through.
It is disrespectful for Belichick to be like, I answer the question, and he definitely did not answer the question.
Right. I would immediately shoot back with, no, you didn't.
Right. But then you get kicked out of the media room, and you have to be there again next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's
a power imbalance.
Journalism.
Yeah, there's definitely a power imbalance there.
Yeah. So then, I don't know, just rip a fart next time.
There you go. I think that is the solution.
Yeah.
If you just do that off the top, you get the whole room like feeling loose, you know?
Sure, exactly.
And
Yeah.
maybe you do get some interesting answers after that.
Mm-hmm.
It sets the tone.
What's good is that it was a mystery fart, so it wasn't Vasilevsky.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay.
No. Yeah. There's just an audible fart.
Those are good microphones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There should definitely be more farting in the New York Jets press conferences.
Sure. Sure.
There's tons of metaphorical ones, but
yeah. Anyway, up next, it's been a while, but we have no fucking thanks. I saw this story and I thought it was very interesting. This is a Wired piece.
Is it worth reintroducing the segment?
It probably is. Yeah, this is the segment devoted to all things crypto and NFTs and how bullshit they are. I know it's been a long time. People might not have remember what crypto and NFTs even were. But yeah, because all the crypto people moved to AI. So we also have a segment for that. But yeah, every once in a while, there's still some kind of bullshit with crypto. But this comes to Wired. This is from Andy Greenberg. So there is a very well-known USB key that stores a Bitcoin wallet, and it's stores 7,002 Bitcoins. And at the time of writing, which was October 24th, would be worth $235 million worth of Bitcoin. And it's been locked. Its owner, Stefan Thomas, lost the password. He can't get into it.
Relatable.
And exactly, yeah. And you ever just lose $250 million? You know, I think the Browns have, but you know. I couldn't help it.
No, that was well placed and well deserved. So,
oh shit. But yeah, so he lost the password. He can't get into it. He says that he wants the money, and so he's done all kinds of media tours, being like, yeah, you know, I really need some help getting into this, and so he's like tried all the password attempts that he could, and I think he's down to it's either his last guess or his last like two guesses before it like wipes the data.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so there is a hacker team that says that they've like cracked the encryption. They know how to do it, but Stefan doesn't want their help. But wait a minute, don't you want the? Well,
does he not trust them? Does he think they're messing with him and they're going to make him enter the password and then it's going to wipe the drive?
Well, no, like they want to cut, obviously.
Oh, okay. Oh,
right?
That's what it is. Oh, that's stupid. Yeah.
Why is that stupid?
No, not that they want to cut. The fact that he wouldn't let them help, because how else are you gonna get your money? Yeah. So this is from the article. So it's an encrypted thumb drive known as an Iron Key S200. This is like sort of a hacking startup called Unciphered that has claims that they've managed to break the encryption like on this model, and so they've done it with other ones of this USB key. Also, this is some bad press for the USB key manufacturers.
Potentially, but I mean, it's taken years for anybody to crack it. And so according to Wired, they said that they were able to crack it like in front of them. So like they did prove that they are able to do it. But this Thomas guy, he doesn't want their help. He's like refused them. They can't even like get into a meeting with him. And so apparently it took them 8 months to develop the ability to crack the like specific Iron Key, because it's like a decade old. Because he had the Bitcoin from way back, like whenever it was first popping, I guess. And so yeah, it was from 2011, his Iron Key, but lost the password. He says that he's tried 8 incorrect guesses and he has 2 more tries before the Iron Key erases the keys stored on it, and he loses access to the Bitcoins forever. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is that he has a quote unquote handshake deal with 2 other cracking teams last year. And in an effort to prevent the 2 teams from competing, he offered each a portion of the proceeds if either one of them could unlock the drive.
So he's splitting it 3 ways?
So he's splitting it 3 ways. And so even though there's another team that says, hey, we can crack this, we proved it, we'll prove it to you as well, he's still sticking with his, who he brought to the dance, I guess.
Well, do you respect that loyalty?
Not really.
Okay.
Because it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think he's just more like enamored with the press he gets for like having this like mystery USB key. It's like either this or he's like already promised most of the funds to other people.
Yeah, well, the first theory there makes a lot of sense because once this key is cracked, the news story ends.
Yeah.
So once he's
no
got
longer interesting.
Exactly. So this is his claim to fame. He's extending his 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Still, I'd take the millions.
Right. It's $250 million.
Is he already wealthy?
He is.
Oh, all right. Well, then
he is.
Okay.
Through other crypto ventures.
Sure.
Yeah.
This was his crypto side hustle here.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's like you could probably still, it's like pay those guys. Like if they didn't get close, but like, hey, here's something for your trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Pay them pay them for their efforts and labor, but also get the money.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if they were like right there, if they were close to getting it. And they're like, well, I started out with these guys. We're gonna do it on our own. But if you say they're not even close, then I don't know what the deal is here.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think anybody knows. It's like it's all very secretive, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to really give away your progress.
I think he should. Like I think he should use one. He's got 2 tries left. He should use one more try just off of memory. Just like think about the old passwords that he used to use. I say give it one more shot. You never know.
Sure. Password 123.
There you go.
Just fired out there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's what's going on with crypto. Oh no! I'm sorry. I forgot. We have one more. This was making the rounds. You probably saw this. So it's a common thing online. One of the easy way to identify as a crypto bro is if their profile picture, if they use, whether it's an avatar, a photo of a celebrity, or one of their fucking god awful NFTs, has laser eyes coming out of them. You seen that, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a thing that they do.
Okay.
So now you know it makes it real easy to identify one of them. That's a thing they do.
There were
There
were different iterations of this in the past, though, right?
Yeah, but I guess they kind of took it.
Okay.
I don't know the significance really, but they do it.
They're in their superhero phase.
Sure. I don't think they ever left, but yeah. So at the sort of Bored Apes, they had some kind of exclusive party or whatever. They got blinded by lasers. There was some kind of laser light show or whatever. And then the next day, a bunch of them started like posting online like, hey, is anybody else who went to, I don't know, it was like Ape Fest or whatever the fuck it was called. Like, did anybody else's eyes like kind of like seeing spots or anything?
Also, I
or,
really hope it was called Ape Fest.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Does anybody got like spots in their eyes or like can't really like look out in the light or anything, And everyone's like, yeah, me too. Yeah. What the hell's going on? So yeah, they used like an unregulated amount of like laser lights at this Ape Fest party.
I didn't even know there were regulations.
Well, sure. Yeah. You know how like you're not supposed to shoot like a laser pointer like into the sky.
I thought that was like for that. Like.
So you don't down a plane.
Yeah, like radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know it could make you go blind though.
Well, if you shoot it in your eyes.
Okay.
It's like that's what like every sticker on like a laser pointer says, hey, don't aim at your eye.
So I'm confused though, because I thought their avatars, these lasers were like graphics that they put in a photo. I didn't think they were actually shooting lasers into their eyes.
So yeah, that's the thing. So they were graphics. So the irony here is that they went blind from lasers in their eyeballs whenever that was sort of their
I was starting not to believe in karma, but here we are.
Okay, so the going theory is that the event organizers, and this is from Web3's Going Great, which is a fantastic website. The going theory is that event organizers skimped on lighting costs by using UV lights intended for sanitation, not for entertainment, causing burns to the eyes and skin. The eye condition photokeratitis, I had to check how many T's are in there. Photokeratitis is better known as snow blindness or welder's flash, as it more typically affects people who haven't worn proper eye protection while welding or while exposed to sunlight reflected from ice and snow. Several attendees reported having to seek emergency medical attention after experiencing excruciating eye pain and vision problems. Yeah.
Wow.
And so the thing is that so like all the NFTs and all the graphics with the laser eyes, everyone just apparently has had them going the wrong way. We thought that the lasers were coming out of the eyes.
No, really, they're going in.
They're going into the eye.
That's right.
This whole time.
That's right. It was right there.
It was right there. We just didn't realize. It's some 5D chess.
That's probably, you know, that might be the strangest story of the episode so far, which is saying a lot.
It really is, huh?
Man.
Yeah. Just imagine that. Like, think of all the shows that like we've been to, you know, with like professional light setups.
Yeah, they're like regulated
very,
lights now. I know that now.
Yeah, just very extravagant, setups and like elaborate, sort of not necessarily choreography, but like like synchronization and like I guess it is choreography. Like.
How do you even get your hands on sanitation lights?
I have no idea. I don't even understand how powerful the sanitation lights would have to be in order to like for you to notice them,
Yeah. Is this like black market light purchases? Like
I guess. Yeah, I guess that's what you could buy with Bitcoin.
With Bitcoin, right. There you go. That's right.
Yeah, you can't really get the regular stuff. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's what's going on with crypto lately. But on to the next grift, artificial insanity. So like I said, a lot of the crypto dorks, they've moved on to AI. That's their new thing. It's what's going to carry us into the future and take all the creative jobs, apparently. And I don't really give a shit anymore. And so I'm just gonna put a family member on blast. Because I know they won't be listening, and I know they definitely won't be listening to an hour into the show. So fuck it. Because it was Thanksgiving, and you gotta do the whole thing, and you gotta be around people that you really care not to be.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that means you gotta listen to a crazy person try to corner your dad about hydroxychloroquine. Or
there's more.
Or you have to you're literally trapped, and I mean this, cannot escape while not naming any names, an annoying member of your family that you really do not care for because they took your car and crashed it and total loss, is trying to explain AI art to another member of your family that is an actual artist.
Now, just the logistics. So how were you physically trapped during this?
I was physically trapped because on one end, there's that conversation going that I literally cannot physically move past. And on the other, there is a feeding newborn.
Okay.
That I cannot squeeze past. So I was literally trapped. Literally. I could not get out. It was like a hostage situation. So I had to listen as a certain somebody was explaining their AI art to an actual artist and acting as if they were on like the same sort of level as somebody that, is able to paint quite well and actually teaches art. Is an art teacher.
The teacher becomes the student, I guess.
Yeah, is hearing about how fantastic their AI art is and is being shown pictures of Roman battle AI art
Do they have lasers coming out of the eyes?
I don't know. I did not
into
want to
the
see.
eyes.
I did not want to see the Roman battle AI art.
Okay.
But can you like this? Can you be more of a stereotype?
Truly, that's their Roman Empire.
It is. also, while just like totally plastered.
Of course. I mean that should go without saying.
Yeah. And I'm just stuck there, just looking around. Every once in a while, glancing at the baby. Whenever people said, "Oh, look at that! Oh, yes, that's very nice." And then out of the other ear, I got to hear like, "I'd be very curious to see what you could do. You give it the prompts, and it's really about composition."
So asking the real artists what they could do with the AI art program.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. Just acting as if you putting in, Roman big battle muscle man enter into the thing, acting as if you're on like the same level as somebody that like knows technique. Because
is that really just is what you do, right? You put in a written prompt.
Yeah.
So there's not, I'm thinking like, this is not even like, there's no level of like Photoshop here where you're actually going in and editing.
No,
you're
no, you tell it what it wants you to see. And it takes stolen artwork from real artists and sort of collides them all together and spits out some dumb approximation of what you think. The only sort of like editing that goes on is like whether you like it or not and decide to take a screenshot of it and show to your family. Speaking of that, what did the artist have to say in response, if anything? Was being very polite.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Was just being very polite. I would not have been as charitable.
No.
But you know me.
No. Well, you just wait to put him on blast on a podcast, which is acceptable.
Yeah. Just incredible scenes. And so I eventually was able to escape by literally escaping out the back door.
Can you make AI art that recreates this Thanksgiving scene?
Maybe.
I'd like to see what you could do with that.
Yeah. I'll just put Hell on Earth in the style of Norman Rockwell.
There you go. That's that'll sum it up.
Yeah.
The internet's broken.
Put another. What's up?
No, just the internet's broken. It's an ongoing theme here.
Oh yeah. I'll put another family member on blast. My dad was trying to do the AI too. He wanted to do a Thanksgiving poem.
Oh, okay.
And he put in Thanksgiving poem in the style of Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
And he wanted to read it out at the table. I was like, no, this sucks. Don't do this. Don't do this.
That's at least a little that's a little funny.
No, but he was like earnest in his.
No, I think I know his sense. His sense of humor can venture into that type of thing sometimes. I feel like the AI art thing, that's like coming from a place of like misguided confidence.
Oh, sure.
But the Dr. Seuss poem, I think that's more tongue in cheek. No, was it not? That wasn't the tone. I mean, I obviously wasn't there for it.
My dad is very impressed by the AI.
All right.
And he also has a misunderstanding of what it is and got mad at me whenever I corrected him.
Okay.
So he said that as he was explaining it to some other people at dinner about how it searches the entire internet. And I said, no, it does not.
Mm-mm.
It uses a data set from 2021. It is very limited in its knowledge. It does not search the entire internet. In fact, it's frequently wrong. And he got very upset at me. He said I was being pedantic. But I was like, that's a very big difference.
I mean, he's just trying to have fun with Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, but that's theft.
Yeah, but Dr. Seuss was kind of an asshole.
As we've discussed, every writer's an asshole.
That's true. Also, if it's a data set from 2021, it wasn't stealing from Dr. Seuss. It was stealing from God knows how many other sources.
Exactly. Dr. Seuss is also probably in there. Also, it did not get close to Dr. Seuss. It rhymed.
That was a start.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about it. I was like, no, this sucks. It's like, don't do this. I was pleading.
Was it directed at another? Was there a poet at the table that he was directing this to?
Me.
Okay,
maybe.
yeah.
It did feel like an affront. It was,
Mm-hmm.
Look what the computer can do kind of thing. It was
right,
like, no.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're good at math. Look at this calculator.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just sucks. I just wonder how many like versions of like that exact thing happened like across Thanksgivings this year.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. just rough sledding. Oh man. It's like fine. You want to fuck around with the AI art, fine. But don't act like you're an artist.
No, if you're having, I think the use for that is to be like, hey, that looks interesting. And then you mess around with it for 5 minutes on your own. And then you get bored by it. And you're like, well, this is pretty stupid. And then you move on and forget it exists. Yeah. Anything more than that is just too much.
Yeah. Like if you have this like sort of passion in order to explain, you know, your thought process behind what you were telling the computer to spit out, you know, like if you seemingly put up this front that you like are interested and care about quote unquote art, like why don't you
try it out?
Why don't you try it? Yeah, why don't you try to draw or paint or something? Mm-hmm. Like who knows? Like maybe you actually might be good at it or just might enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know, like could have hobbies. And then you could talk about that.
Is there anything satisfying about creating AI art? Like, I don't see
I don't think so.
The satisfaction that comes from it. There's such a disconnect. You're typing in words and
it's doing it.
It's doing it. Like there's no real, like there's more interaction in pretty much any video game. Just play a video game.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Hey, kill two birds with one stone. Mario Paint.
There you go. Or like alternatively go outside, maybe take a walk.
Yeah.
Do some self-reflection. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, there's no self-reflecting going on here. Let me tell you. None at all. I'll have to tell you. I'll tell you off recording. Okay. That shit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Holy God. Yeah. But yeah, that's my firsthand account of the AI.
Artificial
this
insanity.
Holiday season. Oh yeah. I think the artificial insanity is just me at this point. I think it's just driving me insane, you know?
That's most things on this podcast though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Here's what's fucking me up this week.
Or this month.
That's true. Yeah, whenever one of these comes out. Did want to mention here, we were going to potentially talk about David Fincher's new movie The Killer. But some scheduling snafus meant that I didn't watch the movie.
Well, no, that's definitely not fair on you because
what happened?
I rescheduled. You intended to watch the movie, then I rescheduled, and then I rescheduled again, and then I backtracked on one of the reschedulings, and that left us with me watching the film and you not.
Right, which I didn't see because I didn't know. I could have sent a message like, well, because I didn't want to put it on you to be like, hey, are you going to watch the movie?
Yeah.
So next week we'll talk about that.
Spoiler alert, it's very good.
Okay.
Although that's not much of a surprise because it's David Fincher.
Sure.
I just wish he wouldn't cast problematic people in his movies, but that we can get into that as well.
Oh, what? Who the hell's in this?
Fassbender.
Oh, wait, what's up with him?
He's got a history.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I missed that.
It's understandable.
Sure. Yeah.
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. But yeah, next week, tune in for that. This will not be a thirst situation.
Well, I enjoyed our discussion of that, and if you happen to miss it, no, I'm kidding.
What's crazy is that I watched that movie. You know, I watched it.
Was it good? Did you like it?
I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't even end up watching it?
I saw maybe like 30 minutes of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I would have finished it for the record if we were gonna, if we were gonna talk about it.
Well, we were.
Well, if we did talk about it, I would have made sure to have seen the rest of the film.
Yeah. And then I think we were gonna do something. Oh, we were gonna watch Old Boy. We had all kinds of plans.
Was it Old Boy or was it Decision to Leave? Because that's actually his latest film. So he came out with Decision to Leave at the end of last year, and people say it's really good. And then there was the remastered Old Boy release that came out in theaters this summer. So there was a lot of Park Chan-wook going on. We had high hopes for covering them. Yeah, it did not happen. Still could at some point. Still could, but did not happen. From what I did see of Thirst, it was not, in my opinion, shaping up to be one of his strongest.
it's a different kind of movie. What's funny is that by the end, it reminded me more of, oh God in heaven, I'm so bad with names. The host guy.
Oh,
Parasite.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, how am I? You've transferred this on to me now. Bong Joon-ho.
Thank you.
Oscar
My God.
winner.
Oscar winning.
Best Picture winner.
Yeah. Why do I have a podcast again?
It's unclear.
But anyway, yeah, by the end, it sort of reminded me of one of his movies. Just in its like sort of like dark comedy. And not just because they're both Korean directors and also have the same lead actor in a lot of their movies.
Well, that last point is very true.
But yeah, no, it's just like the dark comedy of it felt very similar. Like a lot of the like same like sort of like comedic beats where they just kind of like let something hang felt similar. Because it's also like, you know, like a monster movie, you know, like it's not a like revenge film, you know. But anyway, I guess that's as close as we're gonna get to that movie.
There we go. We got it in there.
We got it. I don't know if I want to talk about the anime right now. Yeah, I'll save it.
Okay. I mean, I'm
I don't know if
kind of curious. Actually, you've kind of hooked me with the show notes here because
I knew that would get you. Okay, fine. Let me hit my button. Okay. Anyway,
what's it streaming on though? Maybe I should watch it.
It's Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay. I let that lapse.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Yeah. So this week I watched anime from, I think it was like from 2015. It's you know, it's been a while. Called Plastic Memories. And I put in the notes here the anime version of After Yang, which was a movie we watched. I guess, was that this year or last year? Definitely
not this year.
Okay.
It actually might have been 2021. I don't really.
No, don't say that to me. Don't say
that
to me.
Let me.
Don't say that to me.
It is a 2021 film. I don't know if it came out like streaming that year. I want to say it. No, you're right. It was February of last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
Highly recommend, by the way, if you haven't seen
fantastic.
it. Yeah.
Yes. And I only say that because of some slight similarities. It's it's the craftsmanship is much different. I would
imagine
the deftness which like it handles subject material. There's a difference. I would say. But yeah, so the setup is that this is like in a futuristic like Asian city. They just say like East Asia, which doesn't narrow it down a whole lot. Wikipedia then says it's modeled after Singapore, which is okay, sure. And a dude is going to work for a tech company, and he's going to work for, as he turns out, like their sort of, I forget what it's called, but it's like their reclamation department. And what that means is that they have a product of androids, and I forget what they're called, but it doesn't matter either. But they're indistinguishable from humans, and they only have a lifespan of 9 years, after which they need to be reclaimed and brought back. And what they need to do is like get a signature from whoever owns them and like bring them back and deactivate them. Otherwise they can break down and go crazy and whatever. But whenever they're brought in, they will lose all their memories and may or may not be used again. But if they are used again, they will not have any memories of their previous incarnations, even though they might use the same body. And so it's similar to After Yang in that it's setting up this world in which people and families will just have like ostensibly humans living with them that might just will like break down and die, and they have to like return them before they do. And so there are these situations in which like people have to say goodbye to like somebody that they were treating as a granddaughter, somebody that they were treating as a sibling, somebody that they were treating as a parent in some cases. And these are the segments of the show that are like deeply affecting, as you're talking about, like how this is affecting somebody and how it's even affecting these androids themselves, as they have to basically be euthanized because they only live for 9 years, even though they might be a child, like in the body of a child, or they might be an adult or whatever. Like regardless, they still only have this 9-year lifespan. And so you do have these like very moving scenes of people coming to terms with like their grief of letting go of people that they saw as family. And also like just accepting these androids as full humans in their lives, and like not seeing them any, like you see like the difference between just like, oh yeah, I bought this to help me out around the house, but then it became my, daughter, basically. It's like, or you just like see like the reactions of somebody that like for the most part people just like say goodbye and mourn, but then there's somebody that says, oh yeah, please reset her and bring her back, like even though she will like lose all her memories. It's like, oh yeah, I've done this 5 times already, even though she's a new person each time. But I'd still treat her the same way. So like all these different like stories of interacting with somebody that is going to die, you will have to say goodbye to, and like what kind of mark they will leave on you, and just like that impermanence is quite affecting. What's not as good is the sort of just like generic anime romance angle.
Oh, okay.
Because the guy that goes to work for this department, he gets assigned to work with one of these androids. And so he falls in love, blah, blah, blah. They fall in love, blah, blah, blah. That's not really as interesting. And then, of course, it does go through like, well, she's going to expire too, basically. And that, of course, is a more interesting angle to take. But their story is not as interesting as the stories of these people that they're meeting are, especially because I don't really buy their romance whatsoever. It's just like they happen to be in the same place. And so you kind of just like mush them together.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I was much more interested in the story of another one of their coworkers who like was raised by one of these androids, and she attempted to run away with her father whenever it was his time to be reclaimed. And he like went past his expiration date and went berserk or whatever. And then like a SWAT team shot him down in front of her, like shit like that is much more interesting than this like very generic romance that like, I don't even understand why you two are together, despite the like, aside from the fact that you're just like the main characters.
Does that, is that really the central, like
in the second half, it becomes the central thing.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. And also like, this was clearly not part of the story that they were going to tell, but I'm also just like, and it really wasn't the part of After Yang to an certain, only a little bit. Just like the economics of this like company and this system that they have, of where like, yeah, this is a business, and that's like never addressed at all. The only time it's anything related to the business aspect of it is ever like even broached is a throwaway thing about like the new guy asks like, well, why do we need to make the owners like watch us like power down their android, basically? And they said it's because of privacy reasons, and it's because this is a machine that was like living with you for years, and so it's like a huge security risk. So just regulations, we have to watch you power it down, and that's it. And it's never addressed again. It's like, okay, but like, what about this like huge like tech conglomerate that is just like selling people,
right,
and then also euthanizing them, and then also repackaging them,
For something that's so thoughtful in certain areas, it's quite an oversight.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that's like not what you want to address at all. But it's like, it's just sort of like hanging over it. Maybe just for me.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
right. I'm sure people could watch that and not give it a second thought. But like, if you're creating this world, that is a giant factor.
Yeah, because like even after Yang, like it wasn't the main point of it. Like it was about that family and how they lived their life with that and their memories, and you know, that was the story. But they still had that sequence of like trying to repair him and like going to that junk shop and like trying to get him fixed and everything and like all that stuff. And like that was still like the economics of like this whole system and like trying to get him replaced and like all that kind of stuff. Like it, and I guess they do kind of mention this like whenever they're talking to somebody, because they can't like take the android unless they get its owner to sign the paperwork. And so they're like, well, you have some options here. We can give you a discount on a new one and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, yeah. It's like, you know, this is a business. Like, what does that do to you? And you're working with these androids too. And now you've fallen in love with one and you don't see any, how are you feeling about like the monetary aspect of this whatsoever? Like this is like your friends and they're also being sold as a commodity. And that's, you know, like, what does that do whenever you can like buy a new granddaughter?
Right.
You know, like, I don't know. But yeah, it is thoughtful in a lot of respects, like whenever it's telling these stories of these people. And then like in the romance aspect, it's fine. It's whatever. It's just very bland, you know,
almost like they felt like they needed to have it.
Yeah. And towards the end and like the second half is like this focus. It feels like they ran out of space. Like they wanted there to be like a little more, but then they just sort of ran out. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I wonder like what this was adapted from that sort of maybe expands on this ending a little bit. Turns out it was an anime original. Like there's no source material, which surprised me a little bit, mostly because just a lot of these shows are just based off of either a manga or a light novel or a visual novel, some kind of thing, usually. But no, this was an original anime. But yeah, it just feels like in the tail end, it was just sort of like, yeah, you know, we got you two together and it's going to be sad whenever the girl android's going to die. And then, yeah, that's going to happen. And then the show just kind of ends.
Sure.
It's like, okay, you don't want to tell any other kind of like, what's your messaging here? I don't know. There also is like one little arc that is like an outlier that made me think the show was like almost going to go like Psycho-Pass like level.
Oh, interesting.
Because like it's set up that if these androids go past their expiration date, they can sort of go nuts and get very violent. And then it's also still their job to like bring them in. And they have like a gun like thingy that shoots a virus payload into them that basically kills them. And it's like, okay, so is this turning into like almost like a Psycho-Pass kind of show? Like that's the way like that episode was sort of framed, like in a similar kind of style. Like it's suddenly like raining, you know, and it's just very dour, and like it's bringing back flashbacks of the one coworker and her dad and like getting mauled down by the SWAT team, you know. And it's like, oh geez, this is like kind of a tonal shift for this. And that was the only episode like that. And that was the only time like going berserk and like those guns were ever brought up and used, which I, on one hand, I appreciated because it was still not as effective as like these other stories of meeting these people and these families and trying to get like people to accept the fact that they need to give up, you know, a loved one. But it's just like a bizarre outlier. It's like, why were there like even any weapons in this show, especially by the end of it? Just a weird thing.
Maybe another thing they felt they needed to include.
Maybe, but it feels even less necessary than even the romance thing.
Just checking off boxes, maybe. I don't know. It's strange.
I guess so. But like, yeah, whenever you only have 12 episodes, it's like there's not the space for this.
Right.
But yeah, intriguing premise. I feel like a lot of those episodes were very affecting, and memorable and thoughtful and well done. I just think on the whole, it's pretty much a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it.
Yeah. And I really didn't know what I was expecting out of it. I was expecting a more just like sci-fi, like not necessarily action oriented, but like more kind of like that than I was expecting, sort of like nuanced discussions of, like memory and loss. So that was surprising. And I definitely appreciated it for that. Which was even like not even just like the setup was what reminded me of After Yang. It was whenever they got into like, he's like, oh shit, they're actually like trying to say something here, was whenever it reminded me of After Yang. Because like Android anime, like that's a dime a dozen, right? But whenever it's like actually trying to like approach the subject of, what happens whenever this toy that is indistinguishable from a human is now no longer in somebody's life? What does that do to both sides of the situation?
It's a great concept.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I watched this week. I am curious about your Taylor Swift thing here.
I don't know. We're running kind of long here.
Yeah. Okay,
but
that's fine.
I mean, it's not a whole lot. I've just recent events have brought to light sort of the industry that is Taylor Swift. And why that is not such a good thing. I mean, I vocally,
you're gonna need to.
I know.
You're gonna need to narrow it down for me.
I know.
This
is me saying that I have opened my eyes to the problematic aspects of Miss Swift. Her tour went to Brazil. There was horrendous weather and heat during it, and a young fan passed away. And her actions, and more importantly, inaction after the fact, really kind of opened my eyes to Taylor Swift's approach to her image and, social media persona. The show must go on. Her persona, a lot of things. How do I put this? I don't know. This is tough. So basically, for example, this young woman passes away. The media catches on to the fact that the family of this woman cannot even afford to have her body brought back home.
Jesus.
And so there is absolutely no offer or anything on behalf of Taylor Swift or her team to assist in this situation. What there was,
well, that's it sets a very dangerous precedent, because if she does that, then she has to pay for every funeral for every fan that dies at one of her shows.
It's true. It's really a slippery slope.
Christ,
that's a rough one. But it does kind of speak. So like then, a few days pass and she invites the family of the deceased to one of her shows and like does like a photo op and then the weirdest.
She's not Joe Biden.
Well, the weirdest part about it for me was that she gave, I think, the mother of the deceased a signed autograph, an autographed photo of Taylor Swift, of herself, which seems at best tone deaf of the situation at hand.
Here is a memento that will remind you of the event that your daughter died at.
Exactly. Of course, the defenders of Taylor Swift, which I used to be one of them, were saying how, Taylor Swift couldn't really take much action when it came to this because she could face legal consequences. And to that, the obvious response is she is one of the wealthiest people in the world and it doesn't matter whatsoever.
Yeah.
Throw the law book at her face. It does not matter. I know it's not called the law book.
Oh, if only.
But
it would simplify a lot of things, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. And then you kind of, you see this transpire and you see her then post on Instagram a recap of her, like this leg of her tour and how wonderful and amazing it was and how she had such a great time meeting her fans and yada, yada, yada. And it's just like business as usual. And there was like someone died, but the ship keeps going, like uninterrupted.
That's like when fucking Facebook like shows you, oh, this is your memories for the past year, and it's like a photo of somebody that died that year, you know.
No,
and
but
it has
not
no
even,
fucking
because
idea.
this girl didn't even exist in these posts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there was really not even a moment taken to sort of at least grapple with what happened here. And it rings so insincere on the part of Taylor Swift, and it kind of brings to light things that have happened in the past that I've overlooked. And you know, there's examples of when she would come out with a single that lyrically sort of was in support of like the LGBTQ plus community, and she would use members of that community in like her music videos, and she would like go to events with people that she after the fact never really engaged with again.
Yeah, because they're props.
Because they are props. And
yeah,
I see that now, and it's not good. And to take it even further, you know, her music, which for a lot of people, it feels authentic and genuine lyrically and all that even within this context, you just don't connect with it the same way, because you get the feeling that it's coming from a place of insincerity and commercialism, and it's all very, very calculated. So yeah, I'm not the NFL fan who's like, get the women off my screen. I don't care about that. But I have realized just how calculated and frankly cold Taylor Swift and the Taylor Swift industry, as I'm calling it, can be. The
Taylor Swift industrial complex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how utterly, like, I mean, is it too much to call it inhumane? It kind of is, because she just bought a new jet. And so,
that's nice.
You know, so that aspect of it is inhumane, because there's no regard for her, you know, footprint on this world. It's bad. It's bad. And I kind of, I would, if I
wonder why it was so damn hot in Brazil, huh?
That's, yeah, a lot of people have, yes, of course. You can connect the dots there.
Crazy.
So, you know, now let me clarify. Is a lot of the Taylor Swift hate over the years due to misogyny? Absolutely. However, was I wrong in overlooking this stuff? Yes. And for me personally, it really leaves a sour taste, and I really don't have much interest in engaging with her art anymore. So, you know, that's what that's about. See, it's good that I can't listen to this podcast because I hate the sound of my own voice, because if I were to go back and listen to some old episodes, I probably wouldn't be pleased with some of my Taylor Swift the blind support, the unconditional support, because there are conditions here.
Yeah, even just I just remember this past summer here.
Oh gee, okay. All right.
Vociferous defense of
What specifically? Do you remember what it was?
Oh, I remember a little 4th of July party.
Okay.
I don't know. You were just defending her.
Oh, this is off the podcast. This was
off the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this was just, yeah. Yeah.
You know, looking back at it, I think Taylor Swift and Maddie Healy were a good match for each other. The thing that really killed that relationship is
branding.
Exactly. That's genuinely what it was. As soon as she got a whiff of the backlash, she's like, I'm sorry, buddy. We are one and the same, but I can't be seen with you anymore. So yeah, just kind of setting the record straight there for what it's worth.
Well, you know, I'm glad you came to the right side of history and this podcast.
I would say definitely the podcast. History, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, no.
Because the other problem here is that Taylor Swift is indestructible. And the way the reason I mention that, an example, is because I'm sure you saw the recent Travis Kelce tweets that resurfaced from when he was in college.
Only you mentioning it.
Okay, so The tweets from when he was in college didn't have a following back then, so these were kind of, forgotten about. But now that he's in the spotlight, they resurface, and most of them, the majority of them, were very problematic.
Sure.
For example, he was doing a lot of, body shaming. He was fat phobic. He threw out the R word on numerous occasions. Just not good stuff, not a good look by any means. So those are circulating. You can see them on Reddit. You could see them in various outlets. And within, I want to say like a day, maybe 2 days, you see this concentrated media effort with outlets like People Magazine, I don't know, probably like Variety, stuff like that, the celebrity publications, posting these like fluff pieces about how cute Travis Kelce's tweets are, and they show
the tweets specifically.
No, that's the thing. So they actually pick the inoffensive ones. So these articles pick the inoffensive ones, they highlight them, and they say, look at how adorable Travis Kelce was when he was younger. And you cannot find the deeply offensive tweets in these stories. And so that to me, like, you put 2 and 2 together here, and it's like Taylor Swift's influence on the media landscape. It just feels like a concentrated effort to frame the narrative here, right? And like maintain Travis Kelce's like good boy image,
right?
Which hell if I know how that even started in the first place.
I don't know.
But so stuff like that. It's so easy, the wide-reaching influence that she has to kind of sweep any potential friction or problematic elements of her life. Just kind of make them disappear.
Right.
So there's that too.
Yeah.
It's been a very rough stretch for Taylor Swift here, and I'm not even saying that that's like an outlier, because it's a rough stretch that is consistent with things that she has done for years now. It just kind of is now in your face, and you can't help but avoid it unless you are so indoctrinated or infatuated with her that you do overlook it, or if you just happen to read these celebrity publications and you don't look at other parts of the internet that actually, like, you know what I mean? Like if you missed the Reddit post that circulated,
right.
If you missed the original resurfacing of the tweets and you only saw the People Magazine story, you're like, oh, that's amusing. And then you move on with your day. And I'm sure that's most people. So it's effective. It's calculated, and it's very effective.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've said for a long time now that it's been a cult.
Sure.
It's just very cult-like behavior. Like, and not even from the people that, like you said, are indoctrinated. It's from the top. Like, you have this, you need to have a consistent messaging, and that only Taylor's word is the good word,
No, exactly. That's exactly right. It's manipulative. It's very manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've frankly pulled a 180 here. I realize that, but it's, maybe I've gotten out of the cult myself.
Hey, sometimes it just takes a little deprogramming, Yeah.
Also, it doesn't help. It very much helps. It doesn't hurt having a partner that is very anti Taylor Swift and brought some of these things to life for me. So, there's that.
Yeah. When it's just me, it seems like whining, but yeah.
Well, you're like you're the boy who cried wolf with these types of things. Sure. So it's,
even though I'm always right is the thing that bothers me, is that I'm always right.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to talk about RE4, or should we wrap up?
I mean, I don't have a ton to say. It's just very good. I'm playing Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yeah. It's fantastic. I've never played the original. I do find it very interesting to kind of see how they're approaching this, because you take a game that's almost 20 years old and they've modernized it in like every area, but they're also staying true to the original in a lot of ways, including mechanically, which is a hell of a thing to do, like where you stay true to a game mechanically that is from 2005, but you also make it not feel dated. And it still is very fun to play, which I guess kind of speaks to how good the original was too, in that it still holds up very well. But yeah, it's just such a fun, tense, exciting game, and I see why it's considered to be, by a lot of people, to be like the best, their favorite of the series.
Yeah.
It's less puzzle focused. There are still puzzles, but they're for the most part pretty straightforward. It's much more action focused, which for me is a plus. And there's just like some really good characters. There's some excellent like creature and monster designs. It's so well paced too. I want to say I'm about a little over 2/3 of the way through the game now. So I think I've got like one major area left before I'm finished with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you're interested in Resident Evil, you've probably played it already. But if you haven't, I mean, I highly recommend it. It's so good.
Nice. Yeah, I loved the RE2 remake.
Yeah, I played a decent amount of that, and I want to go back to that now. I'm definitely motivated to go back to RE2 remake and even try 3 because I have that as well.
3 I bounced off of pretty hard.
That seems to be the weakest one.
Yeah, just because it was like so different from the RE2 one. It was much more action focused, but like much more scripted action. And so you could kind of get like a bad spawn and just kind of be screwed with the nemesis. So like it's a thing that's like constantly chasing you like Mr. X, but it's like scripted. And so it's not like Mr. X where he's like literally in a location and you could sort of like mentally keep track of where he is like you could in RE2. So it's just like that in 3 he could just kind of pop up wherever and it just kind of felt bullshit. So yeah, I bounced off of it pretty hard pretty early on. But yeah, again, I could also go back to it. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very much enjoying it.
Yeah, I always wanted to play the original. Like I own it on PS4, like whatever like port of that. And I just never got around to it.
Now, I don't know how widespread this is. I was talking to somebody about the one of the main characters in Resident Evil 4 and Remake, Ashley, who is someone that she's the president's daughter. She's the reason that you're there in the first place to help rescue her. It's very interesting. I'd have to kind of read up. I don't know if this is the consensus or not, but seemingly she was considered to be a bad character and annoying in the original. But like I'm playing this remake and I find her to be like very endearing and interesting and just like a very good like companion character to like go through the game with. So I'm curious. There's maybe 3 scenarios here. One of them is that the hatred for her was the ingrained misogyny of the video game community, which that seems most likely. Or they made efforts to improve her character from the original to the remake, which is certainly possible. Or I just happen to like a character that everybody hates. I don't know. I'm assuming it's misogyny. The answer is usually misogyny.
That's a good bet. Yeah. From what I know about the original, which is not a whole lot, but like from what I've seen, it always looked like the later sections were just like a big escort mission. And so I don't know if that's still the case or if that was just like the way it was presented. And so if it really is like where you have to like keep her alive, and like make sure she's following you, I could see where that would get annoying. And so maybe it's less even about her or just like the mechanics of
it. Yeah. So far there is one Ashley specific section that you actually control her, which is terrific. It's non-combat. It is very atmospheric and tense and cool. When you're not controlling her, when you're playing as Leon, you do have to keep her safe. But she will also help you solve puzzles and help you navigate the world and get through certain like doors and over obstacles and things like that. So it's not like she's just this passive character. Although there was something very funny because there is a section with like these bear traps that you can, if you walk on one, you get your leg caught in it. And it's pretty easy for you as the character to avoid them. But you're walking along avoiding them, and Ashley gets stuck in two of them within like a 10-second span. She gets stuck in one. Sure. And then you help her out, and then you just hear the scream like 10 seconds later, which is very funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any way for you to help her avoid those or what, but
Yeah, so I could see that kind of thing with like PS2.
Oh, absolutely.
Character logic being
really
plus
tough.
The tank controls.
Yeah, really tough.
I could see.
Absolutely. So that's probably where the dislike is coming from, and it seems like they did a good job with this game. So
nice. I think that's gonna do it for us.
I think so.
Yeah. Feels good to get back into it.
Sure. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, basically. I think I did all my big updates at the top of the show. But yeah, just a reminder, new site, denounced.media. The old links should get you there. We're also on Amazon Music and Audible, and also Deezer. I legitimately can't remember if we were on those before, but we are definitely on them now. So if you happen to use those over some other streaming options, check us out there. Again, the new email, podcast@deadandroad.media, and also the activity books from Dead and Road Publishing. Fred's adventure activity book is now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the other major retailers. But if you are interested, consider buying directly from Dead and Road Media, because we do get a larger cut, because the wholesale discounts are fucking with me. I'll just say that much. It's tough. I think that's all the updates and stuff I have for you. I did want to mention also that it's also much easier for us to start up newer shows and newer like versions of the show. So like if we do any kind of spin-off, like if we wanted to spin off the movie thing, or if I want to spin off Moogle, which I'm heavily considering at this point, it's much easier for us to do that, and it's all going to be on the one site, and it won't break all of the back end like it previously kind of did before. Everything in the back end is a lot easier, and I spent a lot of time making sure all the back end stuff was easier, which is also part of the reason why there hasn't been an episode in so long.
So the current struggle, or the recent struggle, is going to be very good long term. Yes,
absolutely, yes. And so, but if anything like that happens, like me spinning off Moogle, anything like that would also not be happening until the new year anyway. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there. So on the whole, good things happening. Just a little rough patch. But yeah, we really appreciate you listening and for checking us out. It does mean a whole lot. And we will see you sooner than last time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, all right.